recording started, and then we can take a look.
Watching your back. For your own safety, get behind the barrier.
Alrighty. So, first off, we're just playing a little too passive. So, Reinhardt as a character, he is a close-ranged brawl character. So he wants to be in there, swinging his hammer and being on top of people. When he is not doing that, he doesn't really get much value. If you're just sitting there shielding, you'd be better off on a character such as Orisa or Sigma, who can both shield and shoot at the same time. Reinhardt cannot shield and shoot or swing at the same time, so that means essentially what you want to be looking to do is not just sitting here shielding, you want to be pushing forwards, swinging, and then you can shield when you get low or whatnot. So when you have health available, when you have shield health available, that's when you want to look to be getting aggressive and pushing forwards within your swing distance. And then you want to be looking to back out when you don't have health or when you don't have shields. So first off, the big one here is just be aggressive. Don't especially when you have health. Don't play passive like we are right now. Okay, the other thing is when you see that you have an Orisa shield right here, your shield now is like completely useless basically, and you should be looking to let your shield recharge its health. It cannot recharge while you have it up, so right now we want to be letting it let it come down so that we can start to recharge it. Yep, and then here we're basically just kind of chilling, so we're not pushing, we're not swinging, we're not really doing anything, and then what that means is that we're just not creating space for our team. We're not pushing in to let our team push forward and get extra room, which is kind of the main goal of a tank player, is you're there to create space for your DPS and your supports. And then second off, we're not able to do any damage, right? We haven't done any damage besides with our fire strikes so far. Okay. I like the fact that you're pressing I need healing. Make sure you're not standing on the open so that you don't get hit by like Junkrat like that. Stand over here next to cover. Press I need healing a couple times if you need to, and maybe a little bit faster as it was slightly delayed. But I like the fact that you pressed it. Right, that's a good habit to get into. Pressing I need healing it lets them know. Like for example, if we're behind Ana, it gives her an in-game audio cue to say, "Hey, I'm behind you. Come heal me." Right. So lets them know where you're at. The other option you do have is like maybe trying to work your way over to the health pack over there, but other than that, just try to request healing a couple times here.
That's another thing I need to do is work on the map layouts more, learn where all the heal packs are.
Mm-hmm. Right. So now we have our shield fully back. Probably want to look to push forward a little bit. I like that we're fire striking pretty often. That's another good habit we have. That's another good one. You want to make sure you're fire striking as often as possible, so that's good. It's just we have not done anything yet, so we want to make sure that we're being aggressive and we're pushing in. Make sure you watch out for the Junkrat traps on the ground when you know that they have a Junkrat. Alrighty, so we're going to cut out of there and go over a bunch of stuff now in the training range. So, first off, we are going to go over just general positioning. So, if we are standing right here, right, and, oh, sorry, my right click's bugging. If we're standing right here and, that's a bunch of enemy teammates right there, right? The entire enemy team shooting at us. It takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind cover, and now we're safe. They can't shoot at us from here because there's cover in the way, and you can't shoot through solid objects, right? So from this is good positioning right here because we are next to something that can stop damage from coming into us, whereas there, that's bad positioning. Because in that time it took us to get here, we died. There's too much damage coming in. So therefore, good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. And as a tank, we want to, there's a bunch of different reasons why we want to make sure we're holding good cover and good holding on corners, right? There's a bunch of different types of cover, right? We can use corners, okay, we can use a slope like this, right? We can use like pillars like so, right? In between your swings, we can look to use it when we're low HP. You have a corner like this, right? You can use an object like so. You can use the payload, right? Pillar, corner, doorway, corner, and then high ground is all acts as natural cover. When you're on a high ground, now Reinhardt doesn't benefit too much from staying on a high ground, but definitely your team will. If we're on a high ground, right, our team is down there, we just move away from the ledge and they can't see us, right? We can add in a crouch and they can't see us. Okay. And in a crouch, they can't see us, move away from the ledge, they can't see us, right? On top of that, a lot of characters can't get up to high grounds, and we have very good visibility when we're up on a high ground. Right, so benefits that we get from holding on corners as well, right, is when we're on a tank, you're in bronze, so you might not have too many people paying attention to where you're at, but it's definitely more than like your Ana, right? You dictate some of your team's positioning, especially the higher up in ranks you'll go. If we're standing right here, our team is going to follow us to right here. So if we're standing out in the open in bad positioning, and our shield breaks, we're away from cover. If they use abilities that go through our shields, we're away from cover. If they start using a ton of ultimates, then we're too far away from cover. And then that means our entire team is also following us away from cover, right? When we stand over near corners, that kind of helps our team to follow us, and we kind of direct our entire team's positioning to be next to good cover, right? On top of this, when we're on corners, you can see that only half of your shield is visible. And when they can only shoot at half of your shield, it actually will have more survivability and it'll stay up longer because it's taking a lot less spam damage, right? Now, you will, like we discussed, have to push through the open, right? That's not... You're not always going to be able to just sit behind something the entire game, right? Like we discussed, you have to be able to push. So whenever we're pushing through open areas, we want to make sure that we're moving from one bit of cover to the next bit of cover to the next bit of cover. So if we're trying to, for example, get to point, let's say this little square here is point, right? We're trying to move from this corner to point. Instead of just waltzing down main, holding shield like so, right? What we can do instead is look to move to the left side, and we can do what's called shield hopping, and I'll demonstrate how to do this in a second, but we can shield hop across, right, to this side. Now we can recharge shield from here, we can get health back, we can get abilities back, and then we can now go to the next corner, right, and then we can do the same thing here, right. Now we have another bit of cover, and then we can push in from there, right. Shield hopping is a useful tech that you could probably learn how to do pretty easily in the training range. That's essentially it'll let you move faster and preserve a little bit of your shield. So, if you can see how slowly we move when we're just holding our shield forwards while we're trying to run. But if we're trying to get somewhere fast while still getting a little bit of shielding in, what we can do is jump and shield at the exact same time, okay? Then we do that same process again. We let go, we jump, and then you're just going to hold W while you're jumping, right? This will give you a faster movement speed while you're trying to push forwards. And you can also just do this backwards, right? If you're trying to back up fast, right? And then also on top of that, you'll be rotating damage in between your shield and your team's health bars back there, which will mean that your shield will take a little bit less damage, and it won't be enough damage to let anybody die. But if you're critical or your team's critical, then you hard shield, right? Even if you're trying to back up fast. All right.
Okay.
Does that all make sense? Yep. So just gotta make sure that we're pushing in aggressively when we have stuff available. Right. Now we were on King's Row, I believe. Oh no, this is a 15-minute game. That's you're on like a 9-minute King's Row.
Yeah, it's
King's
like
Row,
8:59.
yeah.
Now entering King's ready for battle.
Right, so we eventually pushed in past choke here, right? So this is good. Right now, we want to be doing two things, right? Right here, we do not need shield up, right? This is where we want to let shield recharge. Look at, none of them can see you, right? We have cover in the way. This is good. We have something that can block damage. This big old pillar here, this statue. But while we're here, we do not need a shield because we're not in danger. No one on our team is in danger. Therefore, we don't need the shield up, and we want to make sure we're letting it recharge. So make sure you're paying attention to it. That way, we're walking in with an extra 600 HP on our shield, not walking in with 1,000, right? And then on top of that, this angle running in on the right side is probably isn't going to be as good as coming in from this hotel area or coming in through this way for the basically the purpose that this is a very long this is a longer route, right? Coming this way is more out in the open. It's longer than if we went this way, right? This is a shorter distance that we have to travel to get on top of them. And as we discussed, we are a close range character. We are not a long range character. We can't really do anything from a long range. But if you look at some of the characters on their team, they can do stuff at a long range. Okay, Orissa's a long range character. Soldier's a long range character. Zarya is a medium range character. She's not super long range character, right? Junkrat here is a long range character. Mercy can do well to pocket people who are at a long range. So here we particularly want to make sure that we are not running out to this longer area when we could be taking the shorter route. So make sure that you're looking to take the shorter route so we can get on top of them a little bit easier. Okay, right now we just want to be ducking around the cover, drop your shield right about now, recharge it up, then we can push forward with our whole shield, right? We want to get our health back, we want to get our shield back, and then that way we're pushing in when we have all of our health, all of our shield, not pushing in when we have half, because if we're pushing in when we're at half health, half shield, then we're just going to die so much easier and we can't really push that well, right? Because now we're trying to push back in when we only have like 300 health, right? We're just shielding way too much, right? Reinhardt's not a kind of shield bot character. Just we're right now I feel like we're like 90% shield. We're just holding shield and that's it. Keep in mind, shield is an ability that you're using to protect your team and protect yourself. If nothing needs protection, let it recharge, look for swinging. Your objective here is to get in close enough to swing, because we can do a ton of damage when we get in close enough to swing. Okay. I like that we're fire striking pretty frequently. Just make sure that we're not firing it up into the air. Look to keep it at kind of their level. Here we kind of launch it upwards, and then that goes over their heads. So you just make sure you're trying to place it a little bit better. So first off, just make sure you're placing it kind of straight forward, so not angling it up or down. Good usage of cover. I like that usage of cover. It's just that we're kind of in a not great area because we're in this wide open area here. Whereas we could have gone to a little bit better of a side where like our Orisa is right now. And when you see nothing shooting at you, that's probably a time where we could just keep our shield down, let it recharge. Every time you put shield up, it cancels the recharge, right? Here you look at the very bottom of your screen. You see the barrier health there. You see it's recharging. Once you put up shield, that cancels, right? And it stops. So no one is currently shooting at us, so therefore we probably could just keep it down and let it keep going, recharging. So, so far, main issue, like kind of main weaknesses and strengths I'm seeing is I like that one of our strengths is our fire strikes. I think we're using fire strikes pretty decently. I think our cover usage has been all right, but we're playing very passive, which is probably the number one I'm seeing so far, and then the number two thing I'm seeing so far is the fact that we have very poor shield management. Right, we're mismanaging our shield, and then that means that we end up wasting a lot of it and never really recharging it. Yeah, kind of same thing. We're like right next to him, right? This is where we want to be swinging, and then once we see that our health gets too low, then we shield him back up a little bit. We don't want to just shield, and then that means that now we can't go in and swing, because if we try to go in and swing, we're gonna just not have a way to get out, right? We don't have a way to escape, and then we'd be dying, right? And then now that means that we really can't do anything at all, right? We never got the chance to swing, and we never got the chance to do damage.
Nano with nobody around.
Oh. Make sure you're keeping your ears open and you're watching. We knew that Junkrat went top right, so just keep your eyes there. We saw him do the little bounce up there with his mines. Right, we see him right here. Right, just make sure we're keeping an eye on him as we do kind of take our attention away from him, and we hear him tire. Right now, I have my volume at 15%, and I can hear this. Right, turn this up to this is what I usually have it at. Right, and we can very easily hear this tire. Right, so make sure that you're keeping your ears open for it. Turn up your volume if you need to, and then besides that, just make sure you're focusing on your audio so you can hear just that much easier.
Enemy in my sight. Taking control of the objective. Any resistance.
Back and ready for more.
When you're coming back from spawn, so that you can get there faster, look to use your charge. So you can charge like from here to here, and then that means that you're getting back to the fight that much faster, right? Kind of cuts your time in half of walking back.
Get behind.
Objective A captured. Escort the payload.
Sorry, I took a drink of water and then coughed, choke on it. So here, again, watch your fire strike. We kind of launch it into the floor. So watch your angle with your crosshair here. Make sure that we're angling it at body level. We're aiming it kind of straight forwards, not up, not down. Here we aim it down, and then you see it just kind of goes into the floor, right? So make sure we're just aiming it straight, and then it keeps going straight until it hits the wall there, rather than hitting the floor. As that is the second time we've kind of had it not angled correctly. But again, I like that we're using it very fast here. So how to know whether or not you're winning or losing a fight. All right. When you are up, well, essentially all this comes down to watching kill feed. Sorry, I missed that part. Kill feed is the top right corner of your screen. It shows you when people are alive and when they're dead. When we see that we are up 1 to 2 people, we got 1 to 2 kills. That means that we are at an advantage. Because of that advantage, we can look to be even more aggressive, and we're pretty passive to start off with, but we can look to get even more aggressive when we see that we're up kills. And when we're up 2 to 3 people, that is where we've pretty much won the fight, right? At that point, we want to be playing super, super aggressive because we want to look to go and clean up and get stagger kills. Are you familiar with the term stagger?
I am.
You are? All right. So you understand what that is, right? You're wasting their time, or you're like, if they have to wait for their team, it's wasting time for them. Or if they decide to push in without their team, then they're already at a disadvantage coming into the fight, right? So we want to push forward and get stagger kills, and then on top of that, we don't want to use our ultimates, which our team did a lot of last fight, right? We used Nano and Transcendence, even though we got every single member of their team besides Junkrat, right? So that wasn't very smart on our team's part. So we just want to make sure that we don't do that. Now, right, this also goes the exact opposite way. When we are down 1 to 2 people, that is a disadvantage. We want to look to play a little bit more passive because of it, but we didn't lose the fight yet. We're just losing the fight. Now, if we're down 2 to 3 people, that means that we have basically lost the fight. We don't want to use our ultimates because we already lost the fight anyways. Even if we use our ult, it's not going to do anything. And on top of that, we want to look to get out if possible. And if we don't think we can get out, we want to let them kill us so that we don't end up staggering ourselves, right? We want to die at the same time as we want to get out or die at the same time as our team. Now, if we're paying attention here to how many people are alive and how many people are dead, they have 3 people all the way in their spawn over here, right? So these guys are all the way up by themselves, right? And Zarya's 1 HP, and Junkrat's running away, right? So these guys, right now, we should be looking to chase them because it's a 5 versus 3. We can keep maybe 1 person on cart, and then now it's a 4 versus 3, right? And then we'll get Reaper back faster than they'll get their players back. So right now, we just want to be looking to play aggressive and run into them again. Number one thing we're struggling with is aggression and just making sure we're going in and doing things. And you'll also find, I almost guarantee you'll just have much more fun when you're actually actively doing things than when you're just sitting around doing nothing, right? As right now we're 91% to our first ultimate. If we look at every other person who's on in the game here, right? Almost everyone has gotten their ultimate before us. They used Nano, they used Beat, they used Tire already. They have Grab. I think they just swapped to Soldier or something like that. Either that or they used Visor already. Bongo on their team is the only one who is on the same level as you, right? And then if we look at our team, again, we're the only person on our team who hasn't used their ultimate, right? So we just want to make sure that we're actively doing things, and that's how we'll do more damage, and we'll get more ultimates, and when we do more damage and get more kills, that means that you're winning more fights, and when you get more ultimates, you get more kills, and you win more fights off of that, and then you win more games as a result.
Enemy spotted.
Okay, shields up, you're not taking damage, drop your shield, recharge it, push forward aggro here. It's still a 3v, right? So now it's a 3v1, 2, 3, 4, almost 6 people, right? If we keep one person on cart, then it's 5v3, right? That is a 2-player advantage, and that is a pretty significant advantage. You pretty much automatically win if you just push in, right? They have a slight, tiny little chance of beating you here, but it's so insignificant. Like, you have a very clear advantage, right? And you want to press when you have the advantage, not when you're even, right? You want to go in aggressively when you have a 70% chance, 80% chance of winning, not when you have a 50% chance of winning, right? So that way we can, just keep on staggering them, win the game just that much easier. All right, so we're looking for shatter here. This is decently simple as long as you know what you're looking for here, but we'll take a look at how we use shatter, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Okay, more just holding shield when it's not really necessary. Not. Okay, good fire strike. We hit a bunch of people with that. Alright, now we're at a disadvantage. We're down one single person. Make sure you're not walking into those. Alright, now we're down shield. We can just wait a second. Just play a little. This is where we're playing a little bit passive. We want to get our shield back. We want to get our health back. Our whole team's purple, so we just want to give it a moment. But we are even because it's a 5v4. Actually, so we're down one person. No. It's a 4v4. My bad. 1, 2, 3 versus 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So both teams are on even footing. And just again, we have our health, we have our shield. Look to play aggressive. Look to run into them. We can shield hop to get in there faster. This is a situation where we would be shield hopping. And we should also probably be looking for our ultimate. Make sure you're not angled at the ground again, right? So make sure you're continuously trying to keep your crosshair at an equal kind of medium level here, rather than aiming at the ground or aiming up in the air. Shatter. Oh, no. Alright. Alright, perfect opportunity to shatter right here. We walk past the shield, and look how many of them are all grouped up right in front of you, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 people are there without a shield right in front of you, right? Once we step past that shield, this is a very easy shatter to land, right? They do have. Oh, that's our Orisa, right? The enemy Orisa does not have a shield because she just placed that one, right? Whenever we're up against. Whenever we're up against the enemy team and we're looking for shatter, we just have to think, okay, what do we have to watch out for, right? Of course, we can't shatter through shields, so we have to watch out for shields. Here they have an Orisa shield, and they have bubbles that can block shatter, so we have to wait for bubbles, but here we don't need to wait for bubbles because Zarya is dead, and we just have to wait till Orisa plays shield. She can't move. Once shield's down, it's on a cooldown, right? She can't place another shield for another, if we look at her cooldowns, another 6 seconds, right? And all we have to do is just walk past it, and then now, boom, we have a free 4-man shatter, right? And that wins the fight pretty solidly. Alright, so we're getting aggressive. I like it. That's exactly what we should be looking to do, but we're doing it only after we get Nano there, and we also got Nano, then backed up a little bit, and then started walking in. So it's just, again, just the aggression needs a little bit of work on. Make sure when you're low, you're paying attention to your health, and when you're low, you're putting up your shield. Right, so here we have a bunch of people shooting at us, so we just end up putting shield down for too long. Make sure you're paying attention to your health bar so we don't end up dying here. And then on top of that, we angle fire strike up too high once again, right? And it goes over their heads, so make sure we're aiming at kind of a neutral body level. Right, and then we're gonna go over one thing real quick. We ended at 5 minutes here. Right, so we're gonna go over some techie stuff here in Reinhardt. First off, charge out of spawn. You'll be getting to the fight much faster, right? That cuts some time down. If you're looking to play behind cover, but still get some fire strikes off, you can, and not stand down in the open the whole time. Your fire strike has a charge up time, so we can press the button here, turn the corner, and fire it, like so, right? So we can kind of start the animation rather than sitting here the whole time that we do it. We'll do it one more time. Press it, turn the corner, come back here, right? Now this is the one here that I want to show you. Essentially here we're looking at two different things. First off, pay attention to the fact here that we cannot hit them, and then we move our camera to the side here, and we can hit them. Oh, he moved out of a distance. Okay. Turn the camera and we can't hit him. That's because your swing has a larger radius on kind of the side hit than the front hit, which is weird, but it just means that essentially you want to be aiming at people on the side, but how we're going to apply that is pretty simple. The other thing is that kind of combos with that is the fact that you want to make sure that you're swinging your crosshair. Essentially, you want to be swinging your camera, right, with the direction that your hammer is going. It's pretty simple. You just have to try to follow the rhythm of your swing. Swing, 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 swing. Right, you're just going in the same direction as your swing. Okay, so what that does for us is, rather than hitting one person at a time, right, instead what we could be doing is swinging our camera and hitting two people at the same time, right, or their entire team even, right, and we can be, that way we're doing a ton more damage. Here we can do the exact same thing on both of these guys right here, right? We can swing and hit both of them at the exact same time, even though we're doing complete 180 here. Just wait for them to group up again. Oh, I missed them. Alright, I can kill them both at the exact same time just by swinging my hammer around. Ready?
Yeah, it's one thing I've been practicing because I've seen that before in videos. Been working on that. So.
Yep, I just brought it up because when we went in and started swinging, we were just kind of staring in a straight line, right?
Right.
Okay, so here we just got a little too aggressive. Okay, grouping up with our team. Again, angle down. I should have demonstrated that while we were there. Just make sure that you're continuously trying to keep your crosshair all at body level, right? We don't want to aim up, we don't want to aim down, because that just makes it so that every single, like I like that we're using it every time we get it. It's just that every fire strike ends up missing, just because we're aiming too far down, too far up. But I'll demonstrate that next time we go to the training range. Once again, that was another thing right there, right? Aiming down, and then that meant that our fire strike hit the floor. Okay, nice fire strike. Right, make sure that when you're okay there, we kind of did the opposite of what we should be looking to do, right? We play aggressive when we have shield and when we have health. Here we did not have shield and we played aggressive, right? First off, we didn't charge up our shield all the way. We tried to peek with half of it. Then the next thing here is that we lose our shield and we back up around the corner, right? We back up on the corner, which is what we should be doing, and then we kind of walk back forwards, right? And we walk out in the open when we don't have a shield, which means that we just get instantly shredded, right? We just instantly die. So make sure you're paying attention to your shield, you're paying attention to your health. You play aggressive when you have shield and when you have health, and you play passive when you don't have shield and when you don't have health. And the other thing is you want to make sure that we're looking to use Shatter. Again, this is the second fight now that we've gone without using Shatter. Let's say you use Shatter in the first fight that you get it. That means by now we probably could have had another Shatter, right? You could have maybe had a second Shatter by now. So you can, when you use it, the first fight that you get it, you start charging up more. On top of that, ultimates that aren't used don't get any value. So you using more Shatters is going to get you value, whereas if you hold on to it, it doesn't get any value. Okay. Other thing is when it comes to the timing of it, look to make sure that you're using your ult early. So you want to look to, for example, use your if we compare your Shatter to the Junkrat Tire, right? Or the Zarya Grab. That's a better comparison. Your Shatter to Zarya Grab. If their Zarya grabs first, then that grab gets kills and that grab gets damage and it baits out a bunch of cooldowns. And that means that now, because of what we talked about with how to know whether or not you're winning or losing, they're winning the fight, right? Or they win the fight off of that. Which means that if we use Shatter afterwards, it just gets less value, or we don't even get to use it at all. So you want to make sure that you're using your ultimates first, because ultimates that are used first get most value. So when you're looking to use your ultimate, you want to use it in the first fight that you get it, as long as the fight has not been won or lost, and you want to look to use it as early as possible, right? So just don't hold on to it, look to use it early. Here again, we can be charging back from spawn, just get there faster. I have not seen us use charge once yet, so just make sure we're especially looking to use it for mobility here, but then we can also be looking to use it once in a while to secure kills. Though that's probably not one of the biggest concerns we have. That's a little bit more complicated on how to actually do it, so prefer to see improvement in other areas before we worry too much about charges. Okay. Right now, if we're paying attention to kill feed, right, we are at a 5v5, right, so we're even. We want to, right now we're coming into the fight, and we have all of our health, all of our shield health. We want to make sure we're playing aggressive here. Hopefully looking for a Shatter. Right, so right, we get to the exact same scenario that I just talked about. They used Grav before we used Shatter, therefore they won the fight, and if we use Shatter now, it doesn't get value. And they also force us to hold on to Shatter for one extra fight, right? Which that means now that if we don't use Shatter here, we're going to go 3 fights without using Shatter. Okay. Right now, this is a lost fight. That's good that they just used a bunch of ults, because they wasted 3 ults there, or 2 ults there. So that's really good. But just make sure that you're not, when you see that you've lost the fight there, because it's a 3v1 or 3v2, and they also use 2 ultimates, such as Nano Boost and Orisa Bongo, right? When we see that we've lost this fight, just let them kill you. Don't put up shield. You can swing. You can run and try to swing on people, so you can get ult charge if you don't have your ultimate. But you don't want to put up shield and try to run away if you know that they're going to kill you, because then that staggers you. And then this is now the 3rd fight that we've gone without using our ultimate, so we could definitely 100% have gotten another Shatter by now, had we used it in the first fight that we had it, right? So that's 2 full Shatters in the time that we have not used one single Shatter, right? For some reason, my mouse is double clicking and not letting me press play. And when we're trying to move forward fast, this would just be a situation when we're using shield hopping, just to give you some more ideas of how that's being useful. Okay, they place the shield. This is where we can look to, okay, shield is broken. This is a perfect opportunity where we can look to Shatter, as there are 3 people lined up right in front of you. By the way, if you weren't aware, Shatter can travel underneath all payloads, so you can look to Shatter underneath this, and it'll still hit Lucio. And then on top of that, they don't have a shield, because she just placed it, it's on cooldown, and it broke. So they don't have anything here. Okay, so we won the fight anyway, so that's fine.
Tranquility.
60 seconds remaining.
Pay attention to the trap. Looks like awareness needs to be worked on, but that's something that will come with time of playing the game. Just make sure that you're keeping your eyes and your ears open, and you're paying attention to what's happening around you. Here we just kind of feel like we're lost on where Junkrat's at, or what to do. Right, we end up walking into the trap because we're not aware of the trap, and we want to make sure we're paying attention to the floor when they have a Junkrat. Right, so then on top of that, that means we have to pay attention to what characters that the enemy team is running, right? Come on, why is it double clicking? Put up your shield when you're 1 HP, and then we also just don't seem to notice that the Ana's dancing around us here, right? Ana is right there. Ana, right? She's dancing around shooting us. First off, we don't put up shield. Second off, we could like very easily swing at her here, and we don't swing, and then we end up dying, right? So that was very, very, very low awareness there of the fact that we weren't listening, we weren't paying attention. When we are taking damage, we can see if we pay attention to our screen here. If Ana's damaging us, you'll actually see where you're being damaged from. If you look right above your crosshair, it shows you the damage, the red indicator. You'll also, on your screen, when you're 1 HP, you'll see the red marks around your screen. You'll see your health bar go down. You'll hear the sound of your health going down, right? So there, again, you can see damage is coming from the right side. We hear her footsteps, right? Just make sure paying attention to your audio. Make sure paying attention to your video, right? Don't just stare straight forwards in a straight line. Make sure you're looking around you. Pay attention to the corners of your screen. Pay attention. Do a 360 once in a while. Look at what's happening around you. Here, we just don't really notice that Ana's right on top of us, and we could very, very easily have either shielded or just swung on her when she is right in front of us. Okay, we got a pick. We got 2 picks, right? So now this is probably a situation where we've already won this fight. We want to play super, super aggressive. They only have 2, 3 people alive, so it's a 3v6, right? We have very, very heavily won this fight. Now we probably don't want to use our ultimate in this scenario. Even though we have held onto it for 3 fights, this would be the 4th fight. Pay attention to the ground. Good fire strike. Just play super aggro here. And then when we don't play aggro, what ends up happening is we give them time to get their teammates back and give them time to get ultimates. And when we don't capitalize on the advantage we have, we give them time to find their advantage. So they come back, they end up getting a pick on your soldier, right? And now the fight's more even. It's a 4, and they use nano as well, right? They use 2 ultimates, so it's a 4v5 currently, right? So a very heavy advantage that we had, just because we're not playing aggressive enough, turns into a equal fight. Make sure we're using Shatter. Ultimates that aren't used don't get value. And then now they've pretty much won the fight before we had a chance to use Shatter. Okay, so now the game's about to end, and we went 4 individual fights without pressing our Q button. So make sure that we're looking to use our Shatter, because an ultimate that doesn't get used, that got 0 value, whereas we could have had potentially, like, in 4 fights like that, had, maybe not with how passive you're playing, but especially if you're playing more aggressive, in that time we could get like 2, 3, potentially, if you're playing super, like if you're getting a ton of value, you could get 4, but I'd probably say around 2 to 3, right? We could get 2 to 3 ultimates and use 2 to 3 ultimates, which when we use ultimates, we get kills, we win team fights off of them, and therefore, if we're winning an extra 2 to 3 fights, that means that we would maybe have won this game, right? So that's a big, humongous thing that you want to work on, as well as just using your ultimate and making sure that you're not holding on to it. Make sure you're using it earlier in fights, right? Make sure paying attention to whether or not you're winning or losing them, so you can get aggressive when you know that you're winning. So that was pretty much that game. All right, so we have 20 minutes left. We'll go over the next one real quick. I'll just go over the keeping your crosshair kind of at body level. So just make sure that when we're walking around, rather than, and even while we're shielding, right? Even while we're shielding, we want to make sure we're aiming body level, right, on top of this person's body here, so that we're not having to come out of shield. Actually, so the thing is, when you're aiming here, you can't really see much, right? This gives you a better angle in front of you, directly in front of you. You just want to make sure that when you're coming out of your shield, that you're you're looking to look up to body level, right? That you're not coming out of your shield, or you're like, if we're aiming here and we come out of shield and we fire strike, that just goes into the floor, right? It goes directly to where your crosshair's at. So make sure that our crosshair is aiming at the body level. We're not aiming too high, we're not aiming too low, as about like half or 3/4 of our fire strikes, even though we're using fire strike at a very good pacing, and I like the pacing that we're using it at, we just end up missing a lot of them because we're aiming too low or we're aiming too high. So make sure that when we're fire striking, we're just aiming straight forwards, right, at body level where they're at. Ready?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I do a lot of is just drop shield and straight into fire strike. Right.
All right, so next one here.
Traveling to Volskaya Industries. Ready for battle. Attackers ready for battle. Ready. 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Bad guys. Heads up.
Okay, going aggressively, swing on them while they're right there. We're doing the same thing as last time, right? Just kind of poking, or not poking. Sorry, we're just kind of sitting there and shielding, right? Sitting there shielding, and then shield's gone, and then we can't really do anything now. And then now we're playing aggressive, right? But now we're playing aggressive when we don't have shield. That means that if we get low or they start shooting at us, we have no get out of jail free card. We have no way to get out. So we're doing it in the opposite order here, where we want to make sure that we're pushing when we do have shield and not pushing when we don't have shield. Right? Because now we start getting shot at and we try to back up and we don't really have much shield to work with. And again, we're playing aggressive when we don't have anything. Make sure you're letting your shield recharge. Don't just leave it up. Always try to leave a little bit of a hair on your shield. You don't want it to go down all the way for 2 different reasons. First off, if it goes down all the way, it goes onto a cooldown. So if you look at the right side of your screen, now it's on a 5-second cooldown, to where now it has to take 5 seconds to even become available again. And that means that it's actually going to be a slower recharge rate. So you don't want to let it go down all the way so that it's not a super slow recharge rate. And then the second thing is you want your shield for kind of emergency usage. So let's say to block an enemy Reinhardt shatter, to stop damage if you or somebody else on your team is critical, right? If you're not critical, then there's no reason to let it go down to 0 when you could use it when you are critical, right? We can use it to block super important abilities. So for example, let's say we want to save usually you want to drop it when you're around like 500 or on your shield, or like 400, something like that, right? When you're below 500 HP on your shield, we can use that extra HP on our shield to block a Sigma rock, for example, so that we don't end up getting rocked, right? We can look to they don't have any other big abilities really on their team, but we can look to block if Orisa pulled us together, right? So we just want to make sure that we're leaving HP left on our shield, not dropping it all away. Play behind cover so that the turret can hit you, and then again we're playing aggressive when we are like 200 HP on our shield, rather than just waiting for it to come back up and then playing aggressive. So just again mismanaging the aggression, and then we get instantly melted. A good fire strike. Again, kind of aiming at the ground with that one. Playing a bit passive. Nice charge, very, very nice charge. Went a little bit far with that. All right. We went a little too far with that, and then that did 2 things. Okay, first off, we probably wanted to go into like this wall right here, or the truck, so that we're not... First off, if you go too far, then this means that he just doesn't even take any damage, and then you have the potential to even lose that duel because you're low HP and he's not. Second off, you don't want to go too far out of the fight. You want to be able to kill him and then be able to run back in and help your team. This puts us out of the fight, away from our team who can help us, and we also are not getting any pin damage because we just wait too long on it. So he just went way too far with that pin. Though I like that we were pinning him. Okay, but he's blind. He doesn't know where we are, so he's spinning in circles. Oh, it's my bad. I didn't mean to skip there.
Objective A captured.
Okay, when you're crossing that wide open area, that's another situation where you can look to use your shield hopping. Okay, I like the aggression. We're actually swinging this time, right? We're attempting to be a little bit more aggressive. Okay, we got 3 picks. We want to look to push in aggressively. All right, now we're low HP. Make sure you're not fire striking when you're 100 HP, because that's gonna get you killed. Right, keep your shield up if you're 132 HP. Right, watch your health bar, because we could very easily die here just because we drop shield. Now we have a nano. Be playing aggressive here. Okay, you have your nano boost. Nano boost gives you health. Nano boost also gives you damage reduction, so you're going to be taking less damage. And nano boost also gives you damage boost, which means that you will be dishing out more damage. So this is a perfect ultimate to combo with Reinhardt, as he likes the damage reduction, as it'll let him be able to swing more, and he likes the damage boost, as it allows him to kill things faster. So here we're just kind of walking forward super slowly after we get nanoed, and we're not really doing anything with it. And I bet you before we swing on a single thing, nano's gonna run out. Okay, walk forward slowly, right? Inching forwards. We kind of wait here. We don't walk past shield, right? And then the nano runs out, and we never swing on anything, right? On top of that, look to use shatter here, right? 2 people are grouped up. Whenever you're shattering, you don't need a 6-man shatter. 2 people's enough. 1 person usually isn't going to be great, but 2 people, yeah. If you get these 2 guys lined up and they're not behind the shield, go for the shatter, because that's an easy 2 kills that you can get here. Don't charge when you're low HP. This whole situation, we just kind of misplayed it, right? Our aggression was too. Again, we played too passive when we should have been aggressive, and then that means that once we got on point, we didn't have any shield at all. We held on to shatter, and we kind of stood in front of the BAP window here, right? Make sure that when they use this, the best thing you could do here is run past it, and then now they can't shoot you, right? If you go past it, they're unable to actually shoot you through it. But if you're trying to play passive there, then you can also just run away from it. That's another option. You just get behind a wall. There we kind of hanged out in the middle, and we just didn't do either of those. Alright, we're running out of time here, so I'm just going to skip forward, see if we ever use shatter. Okay, no shatter, no shatter. Okay, we use shatter here, but the first time we use shatter is 4 minutes into the game, right? In that time, probably could have had 2. Okay, come back up here. So we get another shatter. Right, and then now it looks like we are going to lose this game without using a shatter. So make sure you step and point there, and then on top of that, make sure that you're using shatters, right? Because again, shatters don't get value when shatters aren't used, right? If we hold on to the ability, or the ultimate, which is a very powerful ability in ultimate, if we hold on to it, it doesn't do anything. It does zilch, nada, nothing, no value at all. So us using it is going to be infinitely better than us not using it, even if we get 1-2 kills out of it. Ready? So let's go, and we're going to do a wrap up here and kind of do a quick review, and then all the things that you need to look to work on. All right. So first off, we're just going to do a quick roundabout of kind of what you need to work on. Fire strikes, that was probably one of your stronger suits of making sure that you're using it frequently. I like that you're using it pretty frequently. You just want to make sure that we are also aiming at body level, and we're not aiming up too far up, too far down, and when we're coming out of our shield, that we're not aiming too far down or too far up, because we keep launching it into the ground or above people's heads. Make sure you're aiming at body level when you're doing it. Charges, make sure especially that, like, for now, I think it's a little bit, like, a little too advanced to start going over, like, how you can use charges against people. Maybe we can go over that, like, if you're improving in another session, but for now, just keep in mind, just charge out of spawn and use it for mobility when you're trying to get somewhere fast, right? Besides that, don't worry too much about the charge usage, as there's a much more pressing matters with the rest of your kit. Ultimate usage, make sure you're using it first off, right? Because you held onto it for like 4 fights and never used it in a single game, right, the first time, and then the second time you held onto it for a few fights and then didn't use your second one. So make sure you're looking to use your ultimate much more regularly. You're looking to use it any time that you have it, as long as the fight has not been won or lost, right? Look to use it early in fights so that you don't end up losing the fight before you get a chance to use it. And on top of that, it gets more value the earlier on in the fight that you use it. Aggression is another humongous one. I'd probably say that's the biggest one that you could fix in this one. That's the number one thing you want to look at, is knowing when to get aggressive, knowing when to be passive. When to get aggressive, you have a bunch of different things that impact this, right? First off, just in general, you're very passive. So just as a general rule here, make sure you're looking to be more aggressive, but there are times where you need to be playing passive. So you get aggressive when you have shield, when you have health. You get aggressive when you have an advantage, such as you're winning the fight because you have kills. You can get aggressive when you have ultimates, right? When the enemy team is low HP, when you have closer spawns, right? These all add up into advantages, right? And then you play passive when you don't have shield, when you don't have health, we talked about some different tech things. We talked about the fire striking around corners, right? We talked about shield hopping, right, to get places faster when you're trying to move through open areas. Make sure you're moving from cover to cover, right? We talked about positioning in that sense, right? So make sure as well that you're staying next to cover and you're not walking out to the open, as that's going to dictate good positioning. I think you actually had pretty decent positioning. I'd probably say that's on top of your fire strikes. That's another one of your stronger suits, as our positioning was pretty solid. We just had some times where we would mess that up and we're inconsistent, where we'd walk out to the open. So just make sure that you're looking to stay next to cover and you're not out in the open too often, unless you're trying to move from one bit of cover to the next bit of cover. Awareness needs some work. Make sure you're paying attention to kill feed to know whether or not you're winning or losing a fight, and then that'll the main thing is that'll kind of impact your aggression. But then there's also the other things, like with your ultimate, that it affects, and it affects you staggering yourself and staggering others. Make sure you're swinging your camera around while you're swinging at people. And then I think we touched on most of the main points there. So we'll focus on, like, what are the top things for you to work on, right? Number one is your aggression, right? If you're sitting there just shielding at choke and doing nothing, right? You're just standing here, gonna get 0 value. Not gonna get ult charge, not gonna get damage in, not gonna get kills, right? This just means that we're not really doing much. When there's other characters like Sigma and Orisa who can do the exact same thing, except for they can shoot at the exact same time, and they have rock, and they have abilities, right? Rissa can do the exact same thing, except for she can pull, and she can shoot, right? And that means that both of them are able to do the exact same thing you're doing on Reinhardt, except for Reinhardt can't do that. He has to swing or shield, so you want to make sure you're getting within distance to swing, because he can very easily shred through people when he's on top of them, right? So that's number one thing, aggression. Number two thing, I'm probably going to say, is your ultimate usage. If you use 0 ultimates, right, you don't use ultimates at all, not going to get any value with that. Number 3, we're going to bring that to ability usage, right? So that it includes your shielding usage here. Shield usage, just make sure that you're dropping it to let it recharge, not holding it up for too long, and you're placing it around corners, that you're, whenever you're not getting shot at, you're dropping it to let it recharge, that you're not, make sure you're not pushing in when you don't have shield, right? So you just manage your shield a little bit better so that's up more often. You can look to shield hop to reduce the amount of damage it's taking again. And then on top of that, charge out of spawn, and then fire striking with looking straight with it. And then for number 4, we'll put that at awareness and making sure you're paying attention to what's going on around you. And then the last one would be, at number 5 would just be our positioning, right? So just that's kind of the order of the importance and how much you need to work on each of those. But all of them need work. Just make sure you're focusing in on the more important ones to start off. Don't try to focus on all 20 of the things we've talked about, as that's going to overwhelm you. Try to focus on like 1 to 3 things. Focus really on them while you're playing, and then that's how you're going to improve at them. All right. Do you have any questions about anything that we've talked about?
Good information. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. All right. So I'm going to end the recording here then.